California CDL air brakes test. First thing you're going to do is you're going to put your seatbelt on. Make sure it's not cut or frayed. Make sure it opens and closes easily. Bolt it in, no loose or broken bolts. I'm going to make sure I am in a neutral. Then I'm going to make sure my parking brakes are set. I'm going to turn my key on to the on position. Make sure my ABS light goes on and off momentarily. That's my safe start. Alright, my first test is going to be my governor cutout test. This test is to ensure that my governor cuts out before my needles exceed 140 psi. And as you look here, each one of these notches is 20. 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160. Okay. Now to start this test, I have to be below 90 psi. So I'm going to sit there and just fan the brakes down until I get my needles under 90 psi. And there I go. Now we can start the engine. Alright, we're going to give it 1,000 RPMs to help it out. Alright, if you see my needles stop rising, my primary stopped rising at about 137, my secondary stopped rising at about 136. This is a good test because my governor cut out before my needles exceeded 140 psi. The next test is my governor cut-in test. This test to ensure that my governor cut in before my needles fall below 100 psi. You're going to give it a quick, hard press. The release. What they say, well, give me a reading. I'm a 121 on my primary, 119 on my secondary. Give it 1,000 RPMs. If you have to at this time, you can write it down on a piece of paper, because I must give that same reading back to the examiner if it starts to rise. The throttle for about 20 seconds. Okay, you can see it has not moved. I got to repeat my steps again. Alright, my primary is at 110, my secondary is at 107. So give it 1,000 RPMs again. Alright, they haven't moved. I can repeat the step again. Alright, my primary is at 103, my secondary is at 101. As you can see, they started to rise. My primary rose from 103, my secondary rose from 101. This is a good test because my governor cut in before my needles fell below 100 psi. Remember, you have to give him the exact same reading where they cut in at, not where they're at now. Alright, my next test is my tug test. This test is ensure that both my parking brakes hold my truck while performing the tug test. So I'm going to put in third gear. I'm going to do my tractor brake first. I'm going to tug it twice. 1, 2. This is a good test because my tractor brakes held the truck while performing the tug test. Red out, yellow in. And we'll tug it 2 more times. 1, 2. This is a good test because my trailer brakes held the truck while performing the tug test. Next test is my service brake test. This test is to ensure while pressing the service brake, it stops my truck. There's no movement to the left or right or any abnormal braking. So you can push in the red one. I'm still in gear. I'm going to move forward about 6 to 10 feet and I'm going to hit the service brake. keep my hands off the wheel. Alright, this is a good test because while applying the surface brake, it stopped my truck. There was no movement to the left or right or any abnormal braking. I'm going to pull my brakes out, stick it in neutral. Now, next test is my applied pressure test. This test should ensure that I lose no more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. First thing you do is you push in the red valve. Now you're going to sit there, you're going to bring your air to max capacity. At this time, I'm going to do my in-cab inspection. I'm going to start my way from the front in, left to right, so I get everything. First thing is my windshield. It's not cracked or broken. There's nothing obstructing my view. My weather seal is in and not leaking. My wiper blades are not bent or broken. There's enough pressure against the windshield. My wiper blades aren't dry rotted or cracked. My wiper fluid is working. Now we come to my mirrors. I'll make sure my mirrors are not cracked or broken. Make sure they're clean and adjusted to me. Then let's check my horn. Check my highway horn. Check my city horn. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to check my gauges. My voltmeter between 12.5 and 14. My oil between 40 and 60 within 3 to 5 seconds after the truck starts. My water between 150 and 200. Both my air gauges are working properly. My left, right turn signals work. My four-ways, my low beams, and my high beams work properly. Then I'm going to come over to my parking brakes. Make sure they're not cracked or broken and not leaking. Then I'm going to go down to my heater and defroster. Demonstrate it. There's my heater, defroster and heater. Make sure it's working. Yes, it is. Now I'm going to check for make sure I got spare fuses in my glove box. Behind me I got my fire extinguisher. Make sure it's mounted properly to the truck, charged in the green, rated for the truck, and my safety pin in. I'm going to make sure I got 3 reflected triangles. Make sure they're not cracked or broken and working properly, and all 3 are there. Alright, now this concludes my in-cab inspection. Now once I'm built to max capacity, I want to sit there and continue my applied pressure. You're going to put it in gear. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it back on. But I do not start it. Take my foot off the clutch. I'm going to push my yellow valve in. Now I'm going to wait for my air gauges to settle. Once they settle, give it a few seconds, make sure they all settle. Okay, now I'm going to hit my brakes and I'm going to hit them and hold them, and I'm going to give the examiner a reading. Alright, my primary is at 118, my secondary is at 115. This starts my 60 seconds. And when you're doing this, you don't want to put too much pressure on the brakes, because remember, you're going to have to hold this for 60 seconds. You don't want to do too hard. The leg is tired. You might release the brake, and it might cause this thing to go down more. Okay, my 60 seconds is up. My primary is at 118. My secondary is at 115. This is a good test because I didn't lose no more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. Then you ask the examiner, maybe I take my foot off the brake. Alright, my next test is my low air warning light or buzzer. This test ensures that my light or buzzer comes on between 55 and 55 and 75 psi. And all you're going to do, you're going to get quick hard brakes, let it settle. Brake, let it settle. You're going to keep doing this till this light or buzzer comes on. Alright, there's my buzzer. I'm at 68 on my primary and I'm at 73 on my secondary. This is a good test because my buzzer came on between 75 and 55 psi. Next test is my pop out. This test ensures that both my parking brakes pop out between 45 and 20 psi. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give them quick hard brakes. You can hold your hand in front to feel them come out. Do not put them behind. Keep them in the front. So you can feel, because sometimes only one pops out. Alright, both of them popped out. My primary is at 24. My secondary is at 30. This is a good test because both my pop-outs popped out between 45 and 20 psi. Just say, for instance, only one popped out and not the other. You're still going to give a reading on both. Then you're going to let the examiner know, my trailer brakes popped out, my parking brakes haven't. I'm going to continue to test until my yellow one pops out. And then you'll keep pressing the brakes. Once the yellow pops out, you're going to give another reading on both my primary and my secondary. And this concludes my air brakes test.